Here with more, former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf. Is that a crime, Chad?
Well, it certainly could be. Obviously, if they're interfering with law enforcement officers and not allowing them to do their job, I think that could be against the law, and that's something obviously the Justice Department should take a close look at.
Yeah. Okay. So, if I were to say tip off somebody about a raid coming, a police raid, ICE raid, am I not aiding and abetting in law breaking there?
I think you certainly could be. And look, it's not just that you're leaking the information to the press so that they can do a story on it. You're putting law enforcement lives in danger, because that's what's happening here. When law enforcement goes out to do an operation, they largely depend on that element of surprise so that the targets of that operation don't cause them harm. And so when you leak that information in any number of ways, you're putting law enforcement officers, you're putting members of that community in harm's way. That's why it's so critically important. This is a big issue. And whether you're an internal to DHS or the FBI or whoever, and you're leaking this information, or you're a left-wing agitator trying to stop ICE from doing this, I think the Justice Department and others need to take a hard look at this and hold some of those individuals accountable and make an example out of them.
Yeah, I think you're right, 100% right. Let me ask you this, because we now have known terrorists in the country. We have cartel members in the country. We have gang members in the country. We have drug dealers in the country. We have, murderers, rapists, known criminals in the country. You know this job as well as anybody. How is it possible, with the estimated 14+ million people or so unvetted illegals in our country, how do you find all of those bad actors and deport them? I've got to imagine that's going to be a hard job.
Undoubtedly, it's a challenging job. But look, President Trump and the team at the Department of Homeland Security and others are up to the challenge. But you've got to do this on a number of fronts. You've obviously got to do it here internally. You've got to work with our foreign partners. You've got to incentivize people to leave voluntarily as well. There's a number of things that can be done here. When it all adds up at the end of the day is that individuals who don't have a legal right to be here need to be repatriated and removed back to their home countries. You need to start with the worst of the worst, which they are doing with those hardened criminals. But again, if you don't have a legal right to be here in the United States and you've gone through our justice system, which millions have, but they've refused to leave, there needs to be a consequence for that, and you need to be removed.
I just find this the most preventable national security event in the history of our country. And for 4 years, the American people were lied to. The border's secure, the border's closed. Border's secure, border's closed. And Americans with eyes to see, we saw that that was a lie. Now we know about all the murders that have taken place. The Democratic Party seems to have settled on the party that wants to stand up for the rights of men to play women's sports. They want to stand up as the party that wants all of these woke, Green New Deal, transgender, DEI programs to be spent abroad, outside the country, and they put the rights of illegal immigrants over the rights of law-abiding Americans to keep them safe. Politically, it doesn't seem too viable to me.
No, I think that's exactly right, and I think the American people now know that this was a choice, right? President Biden and his staff went on TV and everywhere to say, look, our hands are tied. We need Congress to act. This is up to Congress to fix. But yet President Trump can fix it on his own. They had the same ability. They just chose not to exercise it, and they didn't have the leadership to make those decisions.
All right, Chad Wolf, thank you for being with us. When we come back.